Today's guest plays a big part in Magic City Baseball. Joining me now, it's Andy Lach, Executive Director of Magic City Youth Baseball. First, let's take you back to the days where you were holding the bat and throwing the ball around. What do you remember the most about playing this game, and what ultimately inspired you to stick around with it to make sure others have a great experience?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is just how fun it was to be around at Corbett Field every day and get to play on that facility and get to play with all your friends and the work that goes into it and the satisfaction you get with success and it just led to me wanting to stick around and first coach and then be around the program to ensure and make sure that others get that same opportunity as they're going through our program.
Now, I've seen you coach in some other sports too in different capacities. So what puts baseball to the level that you regard it as, maybe compared to some other sports?
I just think it's something that I always grew up with, and it's something that I was more successful at probably as far as my playing days, and just it's a great game. There's individual success, but there's also very much a team aspect to it, and baseball. There's some unique skills there. A lot of sports you can be bigger and stronger and faster than everybody else and be good at it automatically. And I think with baseball, you really have to work on your skill and have a good skill set and continue to work at it to be successful.
And you got it's probably like the biggest two-way game perhaps too. Like swinging a bat versus playing defense in baseball, pretty big departure there.
Yeah, definitely you have to be good at both sides of the ball, if you will. Defensively, you have to be good, and mentally you have to be good as well. So it's a unique game. Football, you can be a great defensive player and not play offense at all. And basketball, there's defensive specialists, and baseball leads to some specialty times too as well. But yeah, you're definitely right, Ben. You got to be you got to be crafty at both offense and defense.
What would you say when you get to a practice are like the important drills to hammer home the most fundamental skills? And also, I know we just said baseball has a lot more two-way, but are there any other kind of skill building things from other sports that can help you become a better baseball player just by going through the practice of it?
Yeah, I think balance is big with baseball. I think quickness and agility and hand-eye coordination are huge. You're starting to see more and more of the big Division I programs, and those things do hand-eye coordination drills and vision drills, and they talk about I'm a big Braves fan, so Freddie Freeman has done a lot of vision drills in the past where with lights and peripheral vision and how you see things. So those are big. But at the basic levels, just like you talked, just drills, skill building drills, and just repetition. Baseball is consistency. If you can do something and do it well consistently, you can be successful. They talk a lot of baseball, a lot about muscle memory. I think we know better. Our muscles don't have memories. It's just the consistency of doing it right over and over and over again. So you're doing it right every single time, and that's what is very unique about baseball.
Yeah, you're talking about I brought up Freddie Freeman. I think depending on when this airs here shortly, the announcement might already be done. But he's my pick for National League MVP this year for sure. And I was looking up a video. Him and his family were out in during trick or treating recently, and he found this little kid that dressed up as him, and he was a really good dude taking pictures with him and stuff. And with regards to just being that good player and person, are there any life lessons that you think maybe show up in baseball more so than other sports?
I think, a big life lesson is the ability to handle failure. We talk as coaches and leaders in the baseball community. If you are successful 3 out of 10 times only, you can be an all-star. 3.5 times is Hall of Fame. 4 out of 10 times hitting wise is unheard of. It's been done once in a full season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely the ability to handle the ups and downs and the failures, I think, can prepare you for life. And then just not only that, but how often in a baseball game you have to look at your teammate and say, come on, buddy, you can do this. So you got to really help each other as teammates, because baseball is a lot about, defense definitely controls the game. And, you think of all the at-bats throughout a baseball game. If you have 20 hits in a baseball game between the two teams, that's a lot. That's a lot happening. So it's definitely just the ability to deal with emotions and ups and downs and realize how hard you have to work to be successful. Really, very few times.
And to your point about just the rate of success being deemed successful in baseball, even like the 4 out of 10, like 40% can show up. Like if you're playing basketball and if you're shooting threes at a clip like that, it's insane. But I think it kind of shows up more in baseball, just the magnification of the opportunities. Like you're only getting like 4 at bats a game versus like a James Harden is shooting threes literally all night. And I think it definitely takes like a different mindset, even though like similar percentages can be deemed like as good,
Yeah, and that's a tough thing about baseball as well, is you think about other sports and you brought up basketball. If you miss a shot or make a turnover in basketball, typically you can turn right around and have something good happen for your team in a matter of seconds, possibly. Baseball, a lot of times you got to go sit down and sit in the dugout and watch other people do it. Football, if you make a mistake, you typically have the chance to get back out there sooner and amend for it. And like you said, baseball-wise is a unique game, because you could play baseball for 3.5 hours and get to the 9th inning and you haven't had one ball hit to you, and you've maybe had 2 or 3 at-bats, and here your team's counting on you to be as sharp as you need to be. And so there's definitely some mental toughness that plays into it, and some grittiness and some resolve that you have to have as a baseball player as well.
So if you never got the ball like throughout a course of a game, be real, like, did you ever get like bored? Is that where the sharpness needs to come from? Like you have to be ready, even though like it's not even coming close to you for forever.
Yeah, I was a catcher, so
okay, good.
I think in my early days, I probably started catching when I was like 14, so the Babe Ruth level, and I think that might have had a lot to do with my decision to catch. There were times where I was kind of bored. I was like, I wanted to do more. I wanted to be a part of everything, and so that gave me the opportunity to really be involved in every play. And I guess if you get bored as a catcher, you're probably not doing it right. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot happening.
Yeah, that'd be fun to be like involved with, like like helping your pitcher out, picking out the pitches, and like throwing out runners. I mean, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was. I think that had a lot to do with why I was successful as a hitter as well. You kind of would think with the other pitcher and catcher as you're up there hitting, and kind of put yourself in their shoes and think, what would I do at this point? And it was. There was definitely a mental part of the game that I think I had some success at that helped me out a lot.
I know like you're going to help out everybody as a coach, but I mean, given that you were playing catcher, do you kind of draw in more, or do you feel like you can contribute most to like pitchers and catchers getting them better?
In certain ways, I think as a coach, you do go back to your playing days and think about how you would have done it. But what I like the most as a coach is the hitting part, and I like the mental part of it. and trying to teach guys that there's so much more to going up and hitting than just the skill set that you have. You have to think, and you have to a lot of times be very patient, but at the same time be very aggressive. And to a lot of people, that doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's very difficult. You talk out of both sides of your mouth, and you're telling me to be patient, but at the same time be very aggressive. And I think you really have to teach younger players that they need to know their own skill set and know what they can do, and the more they know that, the more success they're going to have, because if they can stay within their own skill set and play their game and just kind of let the game come to them a little bit, they'll have more success. And that's a difficult thing to coach. That's a difficult thing to get young athletes to understand as well.
We hear a lot about sabermetrics in the pros. Look no further to like Blake Snell and what happened to him in the World Series. But how advanced can preparation get for like a high school or a Legion team in North Dakota when it comes to like maybe seeing a pitcher or facing hitters going into a contest?
I guess it can get as advanced as you want it to be. A lot of it is just experience wise though, and kind of what you see. And the reason is we don't necessarily have the time frame to apply all those things that you would need to apply. We have to remember that a lot of times when you see guys in the big leagues or even the bigger college games, when you see them shifting hitters and doing those types of things, they're doing it off a very large amount of data that they have. And just the time frame itself doesn't always allow us to do that. I can remember maybe one or two hitters over the years that when I've coached that I felt like I saw enough of them and enough of them swing that we were able to shift and make it worthwhile. But it just doesn't happen all that often. But there are some things you can do. What you see a lot of is the stopwatch. A lot of times the stopwatch, the numbers don't lie, so that'll help you be better base runners and base stealers, and can help you on the defensive side, just knowing that your pitchers and catchers have to hold runners better and things like that. Of course, if you get into the some of the things that have been around for a real long time with the the velocity of the opposing pitcher, their fastball velocity compared to their off-speed velocity, and the differences. And you can do some of those minor things when it comes to the technology and the sabermetrics, if you will, in high school and even Legion baseball. But it becomes fairly difficult when it, just because of the time and the unavailability of enough data to really prove those things. So.
All right, so that's like baseball today on the pro level. Thinking about here, big thing for you guys was making sure that you could have a 2020 summer season. How important was it for you as organizers to do that? And how did like the planning timeline ultimately shake out to have a season this summer?
Yeah, it was really important for us, and it was. There were some difficult things that went into planning the season. Ultimately, we just kind of set a date, and we knew that whether it be the Legion early on or the Babe Ruth levels, ultimately it turned out to be Babe Ruth. We knew that along with those governing bodies, as well as our state and local governments, we knew that we were going to have some restrictions that were going to play a part. And so we, as the governing board, just kind of through a lot of discussion and a lot of in-depth discussion at times, and we kind of started in April and went through with our registration, and we honestly we had some late registrations. We had some people that decided not to play. But for the most part, we we were able to put together a pretty standard season. We followed the restrictions as closely as we could with social distancing. We knew that we were outside, so that was going to help us. And it was early to midsummer before really was before it spiked here in North Dakota and Ward County. So we didn't have a lot of issues. We heard there were a couple games that we maybe had to move because we had some opponents that were either close contacts or positives. But to our knowledge, we didn't have a lot of issues with COVID. We were cautious. We moved some tournaments. We chose not to go to a couple places because of it. We didn't travel as much. We didn't stay overnight as much with our older teams. So there are definitely some things that we did. But for the most part, I think we were able to provide our young athletes with as normal of a season as maybe we could have hoped for.
What was like the feedback from like players, coaches, and families before, during, and after the season wrapping up?
I think we had more feedback probably preseason than anything, and it was it was across the board, like you could imagine. Like I said, we had some people opt out and choose to just kind of lay low for the summer. We had others that wanted to start as soon as possible and be, status quo and not make any changes. And then we had some that were in between. We tried to take as much of that into account as we could and just made decisions that we thought was best for the whole of the program. And, we took an outlook that we were going to, emphasize safety at all levels, and safety was going to come first. And fortunately enough, we were able to provide I think a fairly good season for our kids. We did some different things that tried to space out our dugouts and tried to accommodate some of those concerns that some people had, and it just I think it really turned out the best that it could, and I appreciate so much the board and Mike Anderson, our athletic director, and Cammie McCarty, our concession coordinators. Those people worked so hard this summer, and our board really gave us the opportunity and worked hard to make it I think a pretty good summer for our athletes.
Hey, that's awesome, man. I think you guys did a great job here. So, talking about like all levels of the program, what age do you think is the most fun to play baseball at?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. There are definitely times, and going back to some of the things that we talked about with the successes and failures, there are a lot of times where baseball is kind of as fun as you can make it. It's self-motivated. You intrinsically have to make it fun at times because you're just not playing very well as an individual person or as a team. That being said, I think when it comes to just pure fun, it's got to be the youngest levels, I think. It's just I think we have our what we call our mini aces. That's a machine pitch league that we do with 6, 7, and 8-year-olds, and they just literally are out there to just play. At times I think it could be more fun for players as they get better, and so it might vary for each individual player. But I think when you see the little kids start to have a little bit of success and to really want more, and they always want more. They're in a situation where they're feeding off of it, and they just want more baseball and more baseball and more baseball. I think that's when it's the most fun for them. it's really cool to see those young kids at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 just want to be at the park all day and just play baseball like crazy.
Where does all like the dad joke baseball chatter come from? That even happens in high school, and like you think like the guys might want to try to look cool, but then they have all like these lame jokes that they yell out of the dugout.
Yeah, I don't know where that stuff comes from. I didn't get too much into that when I played or when I coached, really. Certainly, you have to have some characters in baseball, and baseball can be a monotonous game at times, and there are some things that happen within every team to each team has its characters that kind of keep things light, and just like I said, mentally baseball can be a tough game, and so I think a lot of it just comes from the idea of, hey, we got some teammates that aren't doing very well, and let's lighten the mood a little bit, and let's kind of just try and relax and have a little fun here. And I guess I'm not an expert when it comes to some of those things.
Yeah, so I'll take your word for it. I don't have proof one way or the other if you ever did chatter or not, but okay. So throughout you playing and coaching, who have been the best players that you've seen in Minot?
Oh boy, back when I played, I played with some guys that had a lot of success. I played with Luke Teagle and Marky Olson. They both went on to play at UND. I played against some guys that were really, really good players. If you remember Tim Olson, he was out of Bismarck. He was up with the Diamondbacks for a while. I played against several guys that got drafted. I played against a kid by the name of James Drayton that played for Las Vegas Durango. He ended up going to Tulane High School or Tulane College, playing in the College World Series. And then just locally in the Minot area, Tyler Lundy and Ryan Bollinger, who was up with the Yankees for one day. Zach Elgie, of course, who may be the best power hitter that the state of North Dakota and the upper Midwest has ever seen. The Schierick brothers, I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but we've had a tremendous run of very good players to come through Minot, and I was fortunate to coach or play with a lot of them. And it's not just the guys that had a ton of success or got all the press. It's there was at one point Coach Todd Larson and I, every single person that coached from Metros on down in our Magic City Youth Baseball program had played for the two of us at one point. And those are some things that you really love to see. That's pretty unique that, guys like Freddie Nelson and Jason Steele and Travis Smith and Jordan King and, even Creighton Bachmeyer, Zach Elgie, Ryan Horniker, those guys come through and played for us, but then had an interest to come and coach for us as well. So, there's been lots of them. You'll never get me to name a best, though. Can't do that.
Yeah. Thought about it, but yeah, there's too much of a list here. We'd be here all day. So, wanted to get you out on this, Andy. This has been great talking baseball with you. Well, let's talk about something off the field here real fast. Out of all of them, what is your favorite Magic City Youth Baseball fundraiser to go to? Because there's a lot of good ones.
Oh, my favorite fundraiser to go to, is probably the dinner auction party. Just the opportunity to see a lot of people that you typically don't get to see all that often. We've had a couple of alumni events. I don't know if they're necessarily great fundraisers, but we have had a couple of alumni baseball games in the past. Those were a lot of fun because I got to see a lot of guys that I played with, and also a lot of guys that I had coached. So it was kind of a double treat there, I guess. Yeah, so I would say it's probably the dinner auction and party. You know, we got a lot of great people that do a lot of good things for us, and the generosity of people in the community that they give to that event is overwhelming, and it's just really a fun time and a good night.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Either that or like whenever you guys make pancakes, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of the pancakes. That's always fun as well.
Points for the unique dinner auction night then. Okay, I got you, man. Love to be there every time. And Andy, really appreciate you stopping by, man. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Andy Lach out of Magic City Youth Baseball.